Hey, man.
What's up, man?
Have you ever heard of the 1904 Olympic Marathon?
No.
So in 1904, the Olympics had a marathon.
Great. You know, I actually did hear about this from DJ C-Section on our Discord.
Yeah. Shout out to DJ C-Section for this recommendation.
What a username.
What a username.
Man.
Yeah, I don't know
if that's better or worse than Meats and Graves. It's certainly something.
Yeah. So, but yeah, thanks for this recommendation because I read into this and it's insane.
The 1904 Olympic Marathon?
It's insane.
What were they doing back then? I mean, first of all, no. No. Can we blur that out for the whole episode? We're tired of making gyros, whatever they're called.
Gyros.
Gyros.
He just thought he'd give like a little experiment here with a bunch of racers, and when it's really hot, and one of them was wearing trousers.
Who was the president in 1904? Was that the first George Bush?
Things I learned last night.
Okay, bro. I don't even know where to begin with this. Maybe just take it from the top. So
the year was 1904.
The year was 1904. What is that? 50.
Are you stupid right now?
51 years from 1955. What's our year? What's the year?
Right now?
No. What is
2021.
No, what's the year? What's our reference year?
1963.
1963. So
yeah,
this is
so you're 59 years?
Yeah, 59 years before
1963. Uh-huh. I'm with you.
So this was the third Olympics in the modern Olympic era. So the Olympics were just
modern
revived.
Olympic era.
Yeah, so the Olympics
I guess I don't understand the Olympics.
Yeah, so the Olympics were a thing a really long time ago, right?
Obviously. I thought they
In
were
Athens.
just continued to be a thing.
No. When the fall of Rome happened, the Olympics stopped.
When was the fall of Rome?
I don't know.
1902?
And they brought it back 3 times between then and 04.
Well, they experimented with doing one in the summer and then in the winter and then again in summer. It's kind of like how we started with seasons and now we just have episodes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, same concept.
They didn't know. They were like, Olympics, season 1.
Season 1.
And then they were like, this is
fall.
ridiculous. And
yeah, so the Roman Empire falled in 395.
It did what?
It falled. I stand by what I said.
In what? When?
395.
395. Okay.
395 AD. And I assume, I don't know this for sure.
Did Constantine do that?
Constantine was the Holy Roman Empire, which was after the normal Roman Empire. They came back. Because what happened is Rome fell, and then it segmented into a bunch of different
and then he brought it.
And then Constantine was like, we're all together, and then he found Jesus, and then he ruined the Western Church.
Did he find Jesus, or did he just weaponize it?
Yeah. But then in 1896...
1,559 years later.
Yeah. Or what is that?
63?
63 years. No, wait. No.
Okay, what year? 18 what?
1896.
1896, so 67 years. So either 1,532 years after the fall of Rome or 67 years before whatever we were referencing in 1963. I don't even remember now.
Me neither. But in 1896, Athens was like, hey, remember that thing we used to do? Almost 2,000 years ago?
Athens was like, listen, we're tired of making gyros, whatever they're called. Gyros. We're tired of making these things. How about we go for a jog?
Yeah. So they brought it back, and the world was like, oh, that's kind of cool. And so then 4 years later, they did it in Paris. And then 4 years after that, in 1904, they brought it to St. Louis, Missouri. which is America's first Olympics. Because
but also in 1904, wasn't the World's Fair? Was this coincide? Was this happening at the same time?
Yeah, so it was the same time as the World's Fair.
Oh,
so this is interesting.
Fun fact about the World's Fair. Did you know that that's where ice cream cones were invented?
No, I didn't. That's pretty cool.
Or at least the waffle cones. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, so St. Louis had the World's Fair. And the original plan was that the Olympics would be in Chicago.
Okay.
But St. Louis said, hey, but that would distract.
We have a really big Ferris wheel.
Yeah, they literally said that would distract from the World's Fair. So we should do the Olympics here. And Chicago was like, no, this is our thing.
And St. Louis was like, we have the Rams Stadium. We could do it all in. And they were like, oh, that makes a lot more sense. Yeah.
Yeah. So St. Louis basically bullied Chicago into getting the Olympics. And they got it.
Just bullied them? They were like, no, we have the World's Fair.
Yeah, because that was back when, in the early 1900s, there really was this like rivalry between Chicago and St. Louis.
Chicago won in the end.
Chicago won in the end. But for a while there, St. Louis was winning. And St. Louis was
because St. Louis was right on the river.
Mm-hmm. St. Louis, for a while, was like a powerhouse city in America. And so St. Louis won, and they got the Olympics. And there was like a lot of challenges in it, but the
St.
marathon
Louis really blew up after Lewis and Clark put that arch out there. You know,
they found the arch. It was there. That's a natural formation.
Discovered it
with the elevator and everything. It's natural.
Yeah.
And so, they had a lot of competitions at these Olympics that went off pretty normally. But the men's marathon is quite possibly the most
riveting, wild,
stupid sporting event to ever happen. And I put this above like youth soccer games. Like, like this is the worst sporting event of all time.
Yeah.
Let me just paint this picture for you, right?
First of all, it's 1904. They don't understand how the Olympics works yet. No one's been training.
Yeah.
So it's just a bunch of fat Midwesterners. You know?
They're athletes. There's been marathons. Marathons have been a thing. So the marathon runners are coming out to this. Like people who have won the Boston Marathon year in and year out are like.
When did the Boston Marathon start?
I don't know.
How long have they been doing the Boston Marathon?
Longer than they've been doing the Olympics.
How long did it take someone to run from Boston to St. Louis? Because I think they should win just on showing up.
The Boston Marathon started in 1897, 1 year after the modern Olympics.
So they weren't doing marathons before.
Okay, well, shut up. But they've been doing it for 7 years before the Olympics hit St. Louis.
Okay.
So, but they've been doing marathons for a lot longer, ever since that one guy.
You just made that up. You don't know that.
Ever since that one guy named Marathon ran and then died when he delivered his message.
Okay, I brought that up in a different episode, and you pretended like you did not know that story at all.
But now I know it because you brought it up, and then someone commented it, and I looked the story up. And they pretty much told me the story. That's how I found out about it.
Did you Google
That's what
it?
I mean by looking it up. Was I
right?
Comment.
Is that a real thing?
Yeah. It's called.
Is that
like
a myth?
It's called Marathon.
Is that a myth that happened, or is that like a real thing?
Yeah, it's a myth or a legend, if you will.
Okay.
Okay, so let me tell you about this marathon. So it's in St. Louis, August 30th.
1904.
1904. And so here's the thing about August 30th in St. Louis. It's hot. Very hot.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was 98 degrees, extremely humid, as you know, Missouri. And it went through the suburbs of St. Louis. It left from this like high school, like football stadium. They left from that stadium and then they ran around the suburbs and then came back to the stadium. It was a 24-mile distance, as marathons are. Here's the thing though. This was St. Louis there was the suburbs of St. Louis in 1904. So most of this route was dirt roads. And really, like, that's a generous thing to call
They didn't have running shoes back then. You couldn't go to the cobbler
they did not.
Be like, can you crank out some Air Maxes for me?
They had some relatively athletic shoes, but they did not have what we would think of as running shoes.
I imagine them running in like, first of all, it's got to be crazy because everything's black and white, right?
Yeah.
And so I imagine them running in like those trousers and with their
yeah, like the suspenders.
Yes.
Yep. It's funny you should say that.
And little hats.
Yep. Like they got the top hats and they're running in the
not top hats. What are they? What? Do that motion again. What are they doing? What are they? The Mr. Planter's peanut thing. Whatever.
Yeah, that's what everybody looked like in 1904, right?
Yeah, they're just running around.
Just a bunch of peanuts.
Yeah, it's crazy. Evolution's real.
So here's the thing: there was 32 athletes that ran this race. Only 14 of them crossed the finish line.
What?
Which was not normal in that day.
That 14 of them would finish. Yeah. They were like, "Wow, there's a lot more of you than we thought would make it."
That was way less. Normally, everyone finished.
That's usually how most races work. If they don't, that's a problem.
Yeah.
Did people get lost? Did people die? Did somebody die?
I mean, it's inconclusive.
What? So we're talking about the men's race.
Yeah, so this is the men's.
Okay. Was there a women's race?
What?
Was there a women's race? Because this is like 16 years before they have rights.
I don't know, actually. I actually don't know.
Okay.
So the average, like the winning time in the marathons
for 24 miles
in that era,
yes,
was regularly right around 2 hours and 40 minutes was about the winning time, right?
So what's that mile time?
I don't know what that divides out to. It's 24 miles, 2 hours and 40 minutes. I don't know what that.
160 minutes, so, right? So what is that, an 8 minute?
Maybe, I don't know. It took them 3.5 hours for the first person to cross the finish line.
So already double.
Already taking them a lot longer. And here's the thing.
Well, I know what happened.
What?
Middle of the route, they're running. One guy sees a Toshiba laptop on the side of the road, tries to follow it.
I want to walk through a couple storylines here.
Okay.
I want to start with a guy named Adrian Caravajal. I think that's right.
How many countries are represented?
4. So is
that in the entire Olympics or just this race?
Just this race.
Okay.
Just this race. And so in this we have the United States, Greece, South Africa, and Cuba.
Okay.
Which and Great Britain and Canada. So I was off 6.
So 6. We don't count Canada.
Okay, 5.
And a half.
All right, so Adrian Andarian Felix.
I'm going to give you a second let's just try to, edit that back together. Let's try to, let's not actually, you're writing it down.
This guy's name is Felix de la Caridad Caravajal y Soto, but he's known as Andarian Caravajal.
I thought you were but he's known as Andy.
But I feel like Felix is easier to say than Andarian, and I don't even think I'm saying that right.
So call him Felix.
So Felix, he was a Cuban mailman.
Just a mailman.
Yeah, he was a mailman in Cuba.
And they were like, we're going to send our best.
Well, he heard about the Olympics coming to St. Louis, and he's like, that's not far when he's in Cuba. And so he says, I want to go. So what he does is he starts raising money to travel to the Olympics and race in the Olympics.
Okay. You have to try out.
No, not at this point. You just show up. You just show up and say, hi, I'm here to be in the Olympics. And
I represent Cuba.
Yeah. And Cuba didn't have to send you anything.
But I'm sure. Could you lie and be like, I represent Cuba?
I mean, it was 1904. People were more honest back then. Sometimes.
You think they were more honest in 1904?
Yeah, the second I said that, I was like,
known for their honesty.
They were probably just as dishonest.
Okay.
But this guy, I love him because he was like, okay, I want to go to the Olympics.
Yeah.
He's not
fundraised. Got his.
Yeah, but here's the deal. He wasn't like, he didn't compete in marathons before this. He didn't do this before. He just thought he was pretty fast. And he's like, I could do that. And so here's how he raises money.
Timothy.
Jaron.
Do we have merchandise?
Yeah.
Very cool. How do I purchase some?
You can go to TILLN.com/merch. There we have mugs, t-shirts, hoodies. I mean, anything you could want.
Stickers?
No.
We do have stickers.
Do we?
Yeah.
TILLN.com/merch. He would do one of two things. He'd walk around Cuba and meet people and be like, hey, I'll bet you $20 I can beat you in a race. And then if he won, he would get the money, right? Or he would just run around and be like, hey, you see me running right there? Like,
you see that? You see
wanna
that?
pay me for
you
it?
want the world to see that?
Like, he literally was like running for tips. And like, he would just run and be like, look at this.
Hey, you give me $5, I'll run to that lamppost over there.
Like, exactly. Like, that's what he did. And he raised enough money to get to Louisiana.
I love Cuba. Look at them. They're just like, yeah.
He's like, that was pretty cool. Here's $6.
That's pretty great.
Look how fast that guy is. Someone give him some money.
Can you run back? I don't want to run. I don't want to. You just ran all the way over there. Do I need to come over to you to give you this money now, or is it a there and back situation?
So he gets to New Orleans.
I just noticed there's like a machine gun on your sweater. Can we blur that out for the whole episode?
Defend pop punk.
Well, your cup's in the way, so it's fine.
Defend pop punk.
No, we're gonna blur that out.
Okay, so he gets to New Orleans, and while he's in New Orleans, he's
like, "This is St. Louis. It's so beautiful here."
He was in New Orleans, and he was staying the night there, and he gets challenged to a game of dice. So he bets all the money he has on it, and he loses it all.
Felix.
And so he lost.
And then he's in New Orleans, just like, you want to see me run to the French Quarter for $10?
And people in the U.S. were a lot less willing to pay him to watch him run. And so he hitchhikes. He hitchhikes to St. Louis. He makes it there. But he gets there, and Felix didn't bring any athletic clothes. They had
That's what I'm saying.
Everybody else there
shows up in like his trousers and suspenders and everything.
Everybody else there had athletic wear, but he's wearing a button-up shirt, trousers, suspenders, long johns under his pants, and boots. And what are those hats that like painters wear in Paris?
That's exactly what I was trying to. Oh, like a beret?
Yeah, he's wearing a beret. Okay. And
painters wear? Got it. Whatever.
Before the race starts.
What's one of those Paris hats? You know what I'm talking about? You know what I'm talking about? You know, those little...
Well, right before the race starts, he's like getting ready to...
And it's hot. 98 degrees.
And muggy. He's in long johns and trousers.
Yeah.
And before the race starts...
Like, this is my competition?
He's like, you guys are wearing shorts.
He's looking at the starting line. He's like, hey, you're going to pay me $5. I'm going to run 24 miles.
Just watch. So he's getting ready to start.
I'm also going to run 24 miles. Like he's doing to other competitors. He's like, you give me $10, I'll run 24 miles. Yeah, that's what we're here to do, buddy.
Like, will you give me $10 too?
Okay.
So while he's they're up at the starting line, and a competitor in another competition, I think like shot put or something, is looking at him and he's like, what's this guy doing in trousers? And so he literally goes down there and cuts them into shorts, like just walks up to the starting line.
Doesn't even ask him.
Like,
just
buddy.
walks up.
He's like, buddy.
Which, first of all, if you see someone in the summertime wearing pants, what are the odds that we do that?
You just walk up.
Can we just
cut their
cutting pants?
Hey, sorry, man. It's summer.
Pants Patrol, yeah, Kansas City, new thing. We don't want people passing out and stuff. That's pretty.
It's too hot.
Yeah, could you leave your mask on?
It's a pant mandate.
It's a pandate. It's a pandate. It's a pandemic. It's a pandemic happening that we need to cut people's pants off. Not off. We're just gonna make them shorter.
We just gotta make them shorts.
Short.
So this guy cuts his pants into shorts, and but leaves
the long johns. Yeah, he does. Leaves the long. I knew you were gonna say that.
He's wearing boots, long johns, and these trousers that were cut off trousers before anybody ever did that, and a button-up shirt and his little Paris hat, and the race starts, and they run the race. Right. Here's the thing about this race: one, it was really hot. 2, there was only one water station, and it was a well. That was the only, and so you had to like hoist,
23 miles in, 1 mile from the finish line.
You had to hoist this water in. And so most of the contenders at some point in this race suffered from dehydration.
Oh, yeah.
And this happened to Felix. And so what he did is he decided while he's on the race, he's suffering from this dehydration. And he's like, I need to get some fluid in me. And he realized he was running by an apple orchard. So he just kind of jogged right in and just started taking some apples and eating some apples. Well, they were rotten. And so they started making him sick. And so he decides, I should take a nap. And so he lays down in this apple orchard, takes a nap, and then wakes up from his nap a little while later and just starts running again, joins back with the race.
Okay.
And hold on. Finishes in 4th place.
What?
He took a nap.
Okay. There's a lot to happen here, though. So, first of all, I won't eat an apple if it's got a little tiny brown spot on it. Okay, you're telling me this guy's picking up a mushy apple? Has he never seen apples? Do they have apples in Cuba?
I don't know. Let me ask Google.
And he's just like, all right, this is what apples taste like. He's just eating apples, and then is like, you know what? I should. He didn't have a stopwatch. You know, there's nothing to wake him up.
Yeah, no. He's like,
so he's just trusting
that he's just gonna wake up in time to join the race.
Is he still on? Okay, so the race runs past an apple orchard, right? So little Felix Appleseed just stops, lays down.
He's like, this is as good a place as any. I'll nap here.
In his cut-off pants.
Bro, I'm telling you. This isn't even the craziest story.
And finishes 4th place.
He wakes up. He's like, "Oh, better get back to this marathon.
I've got to know what the other 28 are doing."
He's like, "I better get back to the Olympics."
The other 28 saw him lay down and were like, "I guess this is part of the race."
Like, wait, that's an option?
They all just laid down. And they were looking around like,
this is a weird leg.
Do we go? I don't know. He laid down.
He laid down. Are we?
It's kind of like that experiment where you stand backwards in an elevator, you know, and then everyone else is going to do it.
Everyone else is like,
if you lay down in the middle of a marathon,
everyone else is like,
everyone's also like,
should we lay down now?
I don't know.
Is this
marathons were invented 7 years ago? I don't know what to do.
So,
all right. So he finished fourth, but he finished in long johns and boots,
in long johns and boots,
and a beret.
Yep, and a beret. And then I don't know if he stayed in St. Louis or made it back to. There's no more info about him. What happened after this?
Okay.
So,
legend has it he's still in that orchard.
He sleeps in that orchard to this day.
Every night.
If you walk through that orchard, you can hear him snoring.
It's haunted.
Yeah. So I mentioned that there was one water source, so everyone's getting dehydrated
from the well, but the well is tainted.
Yeah. So here's the issue.
It's well water.
It's well water.
Yeah.
And so if you weren't local, you weren't used to that water. And so
everyone gets like just
pretty much everyone from out of the country is like puking on the side of this race.
Yeah.
Because they're drinking this well water that they don't have the body to handle. And then, as if that wasn't bad enough, this is a dirt road. I said dirt road, but that's not
path. Not
even path. This is just an area that's less foliaged than other areas.
Okay.
That you can kind of call roads. You know,
okay, a passage.
Yeah, game trail almost.
Okay.
And so this is where they're running. And what was great about the race is you had all the racers, right, running.
Yeah.
And along with them, they all had their coaches going the route with them in their automobiles that were relatively new and had no emissions regulations.
They've all got that horn, you know, and so they're out there. That's actually how Felix woke up. He was just peacefully napping and then just he's like, whoa.
He's like, what's that sound?
And then he gets up immediately sprinting. Like he's not even fully awake. Just wakes up and just freaking sprinting.
Literally like from laying down, his legs are still moving as he just like extends vertical.
Cartoon running in circles kind of thing, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
So no emissions. So they're all breathing in. They're all breathing in this
intense smog. And the cars are kicking up all this dirt. And so they're breathing in this dust cloud and they're dehydrated. And so
some of them are puking.
Yeah, and some of them are puking. So there's literally, there was multiple people who were getting dust in their lungs and like were inhaling so much of this that they were, there was one guy whose his intestines, like they started like ripping apart because he was inhaling so much of this dust that it was like cutting up his intestines, and he was like having internal bleeding from the dust that was like flying through him. So just ridiculous. A lot of people were like very close to death. So let's talk about Thomas Hicks, because he's one who got pretty dang close to not making it out of this alive.
Thomas Hicks.
American? Yes, he was an American runner who had a pretty great record. Was kind of the favorite to win this race, right? Really, really renowned coach. Before the race, his coach gave him, oh gosh, I'm not sure how to pronounce this, strychnine, which is like a mix between like caffeine and pesticides. And so it's like, it was supposed to be like a performance enhancing drug, but it's very, very toxic, like very toxic.
Yeah.
And so he was given this before. And so it was already like not in a great state physically. They thought this was supposed to help him perform better. Because, you know, 1904.
24 miles ahead of you. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a shot of Drano. Okay. You got this, buddy.
Just gurgle that and then swallow it. It's like foaming out of his mouth. He's like,
it's an intimidation tactic, is what it is. And Felix is over there like, does anybody know this guy cutting my pants right now?
I know everyone's watching this guy's mouth foaming, but this guy's cutting my pants.
Also foaming mouth.
So halfway through the race, Thomas Hicks. He
starts violently vomiting. Obviously.
He starts getting dehydrated, and so he asks his coach, who's driving along next to him. He says, "Coach," he says, "I need some water. I'm getting thirsty." And his coach says, "Here, put this sponge in your mouth." And so the sponge just kind of soaks up what moisture he has.
Yeah.
It starts making it worse.
Here, son, how about try to eat these 6 saltine crackers in under a minute? All right, you can't do it. It's physically impossible. But I mean, you're a person of.
You're an athlete. You can handle this.
Yeah, let's just soak it up.
And so, so he tries that.
Why does he have sponges in the car?
Just wait.
No, they didn't bring any water, but he's just got like, I don't have any water, son. Let me look at my glove box. Here's a sponge. Here's a sponge that I have in here. We didn't come prepared with anything else.
Thomas tosses the sponge back to him and says, "Coach, this isn't working. I need some water." And he said, "Here, why don't you try cracking these eggs and swallowing them raw?" And so he just starts.
He's like, "What else do I have in my glove box?" "Oh yeah, a dozen eggs." We're on a really bumpy road, so now I've only got 6 eggs. You know, they're broken.
So he starts cracking these eggs and just swallowing raw egg to try to like hydrate. He's like, "I guess there's some liquid in this." And so he's swallowing this raw egg. And then he's like, "Coach," he's like, "I don't feel good." He's like, "This is not, something's wrong." Because he's dehydrating and he's eating raw eggs.
Yeah.
And pesticides, like rat poison. He's drinking rat poison before with his strychnine. And his coach is like, "Hey, here's a solution."
Tech-Nine's grandpa.
He gives him a bottle of brandy. He's like, "Here, drink this."
"Here, drink this. It's the only thing I have left in my glove box. I have a sponge, 8 eggs, and some liquor."
And so he gives him the brandy. And the guy drinks it. Like, I don't understand at this point why.
Yeah, at one point, like you're like, after he hands me the sponge, I'm like, all right, I think my coach might be an idiot, or my coach is like, oh, this brandy's half empty. This explains a lot that's going on today.
I understand so much. Well, he finishes the brandy, and then a passerby, just like not even a spectator, just someone who was in the area, was like, "Hey, you finished that brandy? Here's another bottle." It's like, you look thirsty.
So he's drunk.
He's drunk, dehydrated, probably has food poisoning.
Dehydrated?
Dehydrated. Probably has food poisoning.
He's drunk. He's dehydrated.
And he's dead.
Dead. I'll tell you what. Hey, thank you so much for checking out Things I Learned Last Night. If you like what we're doing and want to help us do more of it, you want to help us reach more people, please consider joining us on Patreon. It's a way that you can financially support this podcast and help us to reach more people, but also you'll get a lot of really cool stuff in return. You get early access to episodes, bonus content, and special merch that only gets sent to Patreon supporters. So that is TILLN.com/join, TILLN.com/JOIN. And you can check that out there for more information. If not, thank you again for even being here and checking out our podcast.
I
love a good Samaritan story of a guy that sees him finish the brandy and is like, "You want another one?"
He's like, "You look thirsty.
You don't look like you're doing anything else right now." Wait, where are you going? Come back. Come back. Hold on. He's like running. He's like, "You want another one of these?"
So he gets incredibly sick, just about passes out, like can't even hold his own body weight up.
Yeah.
His coaches literally had to drag him the rest of the race. And Thomas Hicks finishes in first place.
By golly, George, Egg Boy did it. Egg Boy pulled it out at the end.
He
First place.
First place. First place.
If that's the winner, and Felix took a nap, I'm really worried that you're going to tell me that like the bottom 14, that like they rounded a corner and there was just someone dressed like the Grim Reaper who just took them out with a
Tommy gun.
Well,
because it's 1904.
I mean, yeah, they stumbled into a bank robbery, you know,
in the suburbs on this dirt road. Yeah.
And he's like, "I'm Felix the mailman," and one guy's like, "What? That's me," you know. And he's like, "Shut up," you know, freaking. What?
So here's something I should clarify. Thomas Hicks, I said, got first place. He really got second. He ended up getting first place, and let me tell you why. So here's the thing about the Olympics in 1904. This is before even the radio, right? So there was no way to like keep track of what was going on. There wasn't crowds along the whole route. It was really
so someone just like straight up like straight lined it across.
Yeah, so
didn't do the route.
So the crowd was at that football stadium, and then everybody left. They ran the route, and then they came back, and everybody just kind of sat there waiting. And they were like, eventually, someone will get here. For hours, they just waited, and then someone showed up, and they're like, "Yeah, he won the race."
That guy was not even in the race.
Is that an exciting?
That guy was looking for a new bottle of brandy because he gave it to Thomas Hicks.
So there's a guy named Fred Lors.
Okay.
Who was like, I don't know what you do, like what your life has to be like. But
okay.
He was known as a practical joker. Like that was his like title. Like his job was he just joked. And so what he did is
I just want to clarify for a second that you're sitting here being like, I can't imagine someone doing that for a living.
Someone was just funny.
I can't imagine. There's no scenario that would make any logical sense that somebody would make a living. I can't think of any example.
I can't picture it. I just can't picture it. So here's what happened.
Are you telling me that this man
what happened?
put on a little race number and pretended to finish them because that's the funniest thing I've ever, and I'm gonna do it.
Let me tell you what Fred did.
Okay.
So Fred signs up for the marathon, and then what he does the morning of the marathon is he parks a car 9 miles into the race. And so the race starts, and he just runs to the car. And then he just drives. He drives the route. He didn't even just like turn around and go back. He
drove right past everybody. It was just like,
he's like,
hey guys.
He's like, you look at you losers. Hey, you seem dehydrated. You should drink some water. Hey man, want some brandy?
Hey buddy, wake up. Wake up. The race is almost over. Wake up. Yeah. You know? He's just like, he pulled a bottle of brandy out of his glove box.
Yeah, he's like, you look thirsty. Don't pace yourself, bro. So he just gets...
He's talking with such progressive lingo. He's like, what's up, brother? Hang tight. Keep going. Don't give up. That's absolutely hilarious.
So he goes and he drives to the 19th mile and then jumps out of his car and jogs to the finish line.
All right, this is still too much more than I would, because he still ran 9 miles and then ran the other 4 at the end.
Yep.
And so then, I mean, he ran 13 miles still.
Yep. And
I think
I feel like he could have gone 1 mile on one and 1 mile on the other. And
that's exactly what I'm thinking. Like, that's way more effort than I would put in. So good on you.
Could have gone less than a mile, like a couple blocks.
Yeah, I would have like rounded the core. I would have parked in the parking lot of the stadium. I would have like,
everyone sees you run to the parking lot.
Straight up, they're all watching you get in this car.
They can still see you.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he ends up getting back to the race and like shatters world records.
Oh yeah, they're like, that's crazy.
It's like, oh my gosh, who is this guy?
Gosh.
And then when they ask him about it, he's like, nah, I drove most of it. He's like, I got you. And they asked him why. He's like, it was funny.
No, you don't. You got to tell them like years later. You got to do a world tour of you're the fastest man alive.
Human on the world.
You got to do the whole thing at like all these like at these traveling circuses.
Yep.
Where you're just up there and you're just like, yeah, I am the fastest man alive.
Yeah.
And then 4 years later at the next Olympics, you're a surprise celebrity guest judge.
Yeah. Well, I mean, here's the thing. He did kind of like he was hailed the winner. He got a photo with the president's daughter.
Okay, so he like went through with all of it.
Yeah, he got a photo with the president's daughter, and then
who was the president in 1904? Was that the first George Bush?
Yeah, it actually was. It was Theodore Roosevelt.
Yeah.
And so
you got a picture with Teddy?
Well, Teddy's daughter, Alice.
Oh, it's not as impressive, but
and so then
everyone's got a picture with Alice.
And so right when he was about to get awarded the gold medal, he was like, I drove it.
Guys, I feel like I should thank you for this award. I'd like to give a speech. I drove it. Yeah.
Y'all a bunch of idiots.
Yeah, you idiots.
It was funny. It literally, like, they asked him why. He's like, because it was funny.
Because look at who got second. All right. Well, I mean, somebody had to bring something to this day.
The guy in fourth place was napping when I drove past him. So, I mean, that's hilarious.
Yeah, I can't imagine anyone who would do these things.
So
I can't imagine any scenario where this is a job. TikTok didn't even exist then. Who's he doing it for? He got that picture of him and Alice framed in his house.
It sounds like literally, like this is not like, this is just for him because he was like, oh, that's how I would have spent my Saturday.
What's he gonna? He's gonna try to get it printed in the news. Hey, that's what you got. You got to wait till it's printed and then
there you
that's
go.
funny.
Get it in the newspaper.
That's funny.
So here's the kind of darker side of this race.
Okay.
There's a guy named James Edward Sullivan who kind of put the race on, right?
Yeah.
It was his marathon.
And has the most vampire name of 1904.
That's pretty accurate.
James Edward Sullivan.
Yeah. He was a noted pseudoscientist who loved just like all this like weird like fringe science. And at this time, he was of the belief that humans didn't need water.
Oh no!
And so he thought
I see where it was going already.
He thought he would make a test. Like he's like, ooh, this is a perfect experiment to prove that humans don't need water. And so he was like, let's just give them one water point in this race and just see how it comes out. And so
this was his doing.
Yeah, he planned it, and he didn't tell anybody. He like on his own, like didn't tell a single person. Like it was in his journals. He's like, I'm gonna do this. I'm not gonna tell anyone, and we're gonna see how it goes.
What are they like? They're like, hey, pseudoscientist guy, you want to be in charge of? We're just delegating all the tasks for the Olympics. Do you want to man the snack station, or do you want to do the water for the men's race? And he's like, I think I'll do the water for the men's.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing. He was the president of the Amateur Athletic Union.
Yeah. Well, you'd imagine that after his 498 years of being alive, he would know. What?
You need water.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he just thought he'd give like a little experiment here with a bunch of racers, and when it's really hot, and one of them's wearing trousers, and he's like,
shorts, but yeah.
He's like, let's see how this goes.
Trousers.
He's like, let's just see what's the worst that could happen.
What's the worst that could happen? 14 of them died?
Yeah. So here's the thing. A bunch of people didn't finish. From what I can tell, a lot of them, they gave up. They got sick. A lot of them got taken away to the hospital.
One guy got hit by a car. One guy got hit by Fred.
Oh, I totally forgot about this. Let's see, where's this at? About an hour into the race, a few participants were chased a mile off course by feral dogs. That just happened upon them in the middle of the race and just chased.
No, that was also Fred. Fred was driving and like at the 12-mile mark, he's like, there you go. He's like, dude, he's like, I think this guy's my hero. That's hilarious.
When you said that was also Fred, I literally pictured Fred just pulling over, getting in a dog costume, and just chasing everybody away for a mile, and then running back to the car and getting back in and still winning the race.
They see him do it. They watch him get into the costume.
And then they're like, oh shoot, is that a dog? They were more worried. They were like, man, this guy's I'm afraid of this guy. He cut that guy's pants earlier.
I mean, okay, which one are you more afraid of? A feral dog or a grown man in a dog costume that is chasing you off course?
Who drove half the race? He's been driving the race.
Grown man in a dog
brandy
costume
to people.
Who rolls up in the car, jumps out, doesn't even put it in park. He doesn't care. All right?
It's still just slowly rolling.
He's
like, I'll catch up to it.
Comes back, jumps in while it's still moving, right? He's smooth. Fred is so smooth, right? And then just guns it. Who are you more afraid of, Tim? Be honest with me. That's hilarious. Fred Lore?
Yeah.
All right. I literally am. This is my new actual hero. That's hilarious.
Yeah, man. He's a freaking maniac.
I'm going to get a picture of him in my house.
Yeah, so I mean, the rest of the people got sick. They got carted off.
Wait, so how many people actually finished?
14. 14 people finished the race.
Okay.
14 people finished the race, of which was,
the other 18 just didn't?
Yeah, they got sick. They quit. A bunch of people quit. A bunch of people were like, forget this. Frederick Lors was disqualified.
Obviously.
Yeah, and then then there's a bunch of people who did not finish, and then a bunch of them got DNS. What do you think DNS stands for? Did not survive.
Is that what it stands for?
I don't know. I'm looking it up.
Dysentery?
All right, DNS or DNF. What do they mean? Okay, sure.
Well, DNS is like what you do for your web domain. It's your domain name server. Yeah. So some of them got those mixed up, and then their name didn't work anymore.
Oh. TNS means did not start. A bunch of people like the race started. And
bunch of people looked around. First of all, they're like, all right, so everyone sees this grown man in a dog costume, right? I don't want to do this anymore. That man.
I'm done.
Someone's foaming at the mouth.
That guy literally cut that guy's pants off. I mean,
this whole thing seems like maybe you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to give you all 4 more years to figure out how to Olympic. And then I'm going to try it again later.
We're going to try again later.
How many people did not start?
Gosh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 people did not start.
Okay, so now you're down to your 10 that quit midway, right?
No, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Did not finish. 1 was disqualified. 14 finished.
Okay.
And what's interesting is only the top 3 is the time known. The rest of them were just like, I don't know when they got there.
Oh yeah, after Felix shows up, they're like, "Wait, you were sleeping? All right, we gotta, let's shut this down.
Let's just forget this.
We'll try it again." Did the other events of the 1904 Olympics go well?
Yeah, they were all fine. This was just this one.
Imagine being on the Ferris wheel at the World's Fair, and you look down and you're watching the men's race happen.
You're like, "What is happening over there? Is that a dog?"
What's he do? Hey, Hey, wake up. Hey. You're so far away.
Hey, somebody wake that guy up.
Hey, someone
wake that guy. Wake that guy up.
That sponge isn't going to work.
Hey, wake up.
Hey.
Get that sponge out of your mouth.
Is that a second bottle of brandy?
It's hot outside. It's too hot.
Cut your trousers. Cut your trousers. I thought that when you originally brought this topic up, I thought you were going to say like a bunch of them did steroids already in 1904.
No. Yeah, one guy, the only guy who came close to doing steroids was Thomas Hicks, and he did literal pesticides instead.
Yeah.
So
the opposite.
Could
performance enhancing drugs.
Could not have taken something worse for him.
I so badly want to do that. You know what I'm gonna do?
What?
The turkey trot in my hometown. I'm gonna drive it. I'm gonna drive it.
The turkey trot.
I'm gonna finish this thing in 15 minutes.
People are like, how'd you do that? Like, I've been running a lot lately.
Yeah, super sore.
Yeah, I've been running.
People are like, is that your Honda Civic over there?
It's on.
Oh, yeah, I leave it running.
I leave it running all the time.
It's a small town.
Yeah, just so that way I can get it out quick. Yeah. If I need to leave, I can go.
And some kid comes up at the end. That's the guy, Mom. That's the guy that chased me in the dog costume. And I'm like, hey, whoa. I don't know anything about that.
You got like the tail hanging out the top of your pants.
Like tucking it in.
You're like, that wasn't me.
That's hilarious.
That's the 1904 Olympic marathon, which is, I mean, a DJC section. If you got more of these, this is crazy. And hey, if you want to tell us,
oh yeah, that was our Discord. Yeah,
if you want us to tell you about something you already know about, then
yeah, because our Discord is available to our Patreon supporters, and it's been pretty fun. I actually like it a lot.
It's where I got the idea for this episode. So I mean, you just might see us talk about something you talk about. How can they get?
What did you just say? You might see us talk about something you talk about.
Yeah.
Whatever. You can sign over that. Just text TILLN to 66866. That is, we're 1-6 away from trouble, but we got it.
What's 66666?
Can we just like add in some weird like sounds like demon noises or something? Anyway,
and then just
how many of the racers have DFO next to them?
Let me see. One. You're not gonna believe this.
He definitely fiddled off. Hey, thanks so much for watching Things I Learned Last Night. If you like that, there are more episodes you can watch, or you can watch some highlights, but please subscribe to the channel so you don't miss an episode in the future.